I remember she was doing her makeup. She slammed her makeup brush down on the counter and goes, "For God's sake, Ayden, you need to go back to baseball." And I was like, "I don't know how to make that happen. I don't know what route to go." She says, "Just pick up the damn phone and call somebody."
Welcome to episode 328 of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast. I'm Joe McFarland. We'll start things off in the pros and a promotion for a friend of the show. Calgary's Cohen Achen is on the way up as the Baltimore Orioles prospect has made 3 appearances for the single-A Delmarva Shorebirds, going 2-0 with a 3.21 ERA, striking out 14 in 14 innings. On Wednesday, he earned the bump up to the High A Aberdeen Ironbirds. Elsewhere in the minors, fellow 2024 MLB draft pick Nathan Flewelling has cracked the top 30 prospects list for the Tampa Bay Rays. The Innisfail Red Deer Minor Baseball St. Joe's Academy product is hitting 100 on the season with 5 RBI and a stolen base in 12 games for the single-A Charleston River Dogs. A shout out to Tristan Peters on his first home run of the season with the AAA Durham Bulls.
Pitch from Leal, swing out, well hit ball, right field and deep. Richardson to the track, Richardson the wall, Richardson jumping, he loses his glove and the ball's on the platform over the yellow line. First of the year for Tristan Peters, and it's 1-0 Durham in the second inning.
The Dawgs Academy and Okotoks Dawgs alum has been swinging a hot stick in the last week, raising his average to 257 with that home run to go along with 6 RBI and 3 stolen bases. Another former Dawg is hitting the skin off the baseball as well to start the season. Titus Dimitru is with Atlanta's High A affiliate in Rome.
Hit the other way to deep right field. Back on it is Gomez. It's off of the wall. Here comes Chloe Hissey. And for the second day in a row, Titus Dimitru plays the hero. A walk-off on Easter Sunday. And the Emperors win it 8-7.
Dimitru is on a 9-game hitting streak and now sports a .304 batting average with 14 RBI and 3 stolen bases so far this season. On the injury front, Calgary's Michael Soroka made his return to the mound after hurting his bicep in his first start of the season in Washington. He made a rehab start with the AA Harrisburg Senators on Tuesday, and he got roughed up a little bit, allowing 2 hits and 2 runs while walking 1 and striking out 3 in 2+ innings of work. He'll likely get another outing or 2 before heading up to the big club. Over to the CCBC world now, and not a great weekend for Alberta's 3 teams. Prairie Baseball Academy went 1-2 in their set with TRU, with their 4th game being rained out. The University of Calgary Dinos went 0-4 against the defending champion UFE Cascades, and the Edmonton Collegiate Hawks picked up a win in 4 games against VIU. This weekend, PBA hosts UFE, the Dinos visit Victoria, and EC heads to VIU. We'll hear from Dinos infielder Brett Potter in just a few minutes. Our top 5 college performances stateside this week are once again on point. St. Albert's Jaden Babiak is on the brink of history as he's just 8 hits away from becoming the all-time leader at Valley City State University. He's now at 217 heading into the final weekend of the regular season. On this season, the Medicine Hat Mavericks alum is hitting .339 with a homer and 23 RBI in 46 games. Connor Croson's season at the University of Montevallo continues to roll. He has 4 homers and 19 RBI in his last 7 games. The Dawgs Academy alum is now hitting .380 with 15 homers and 56 RBI on the season. Calgary's Kyle Yip had a fantastic weekend at UBC. He had 8 hits, including 2 homers, 3 walks, 11 RBI, and a stolen base. The Vauxhall Academy grad was named the Cascade Collegiate Conference Player of the Week for his efforts. Congratulations to AHP Academy alum Chaz Wheatley on picking up his first collegiate save with Iowa University. The Hawkeyes hurler is 1-2 with a 1.88 ERA and 15 relief appearances, striking out 18 in 14+ innings. And former Lethbridge Bull infielder Brandon Nickel has entered the record books at Southern Arkansas with his 237th career RBI. He had 4 homers and 7 RBI on the weekend, on his way to being named Canadian Baseball Network's College Player of the Week. He's hitting .298 on the season with 13 homers and 40 RBI. On the Western Canadian Baseball League front, we we are just over a month away from the start of the regular season. The first game happens May 28th when the Medicine Hat Mavericks host the defending champion Okotoks Dawgs. We are back with our annual team-by-team season previews, which started with the Dawgs on Tuesday. We'll have a new one every 3 days, so keep it locked on AlbertaDugoutStories.com and SaskatchewanDugoutStories.com for all of the coming stories. Congratulations to Jordan Blundell and everyone at Evolution Baseball in Spruce Grove on a new brand to coincide with the WCBL's Edmonton Prospects becoming the Energy City Cactus Rats. The new Energy City Baseball Academy will be called the Steel Toes. Their home will be the newly named My Shack Field at Energy City Metro Ballpark. Now on to this week's guests, and we open things up by heading back to the CCBC to chat with University of Calgary Dinos veteran Brett Potter. The fourth-year art student had himself a stretch to remember against VIU a couple of weekends ago, hitting 3 home runs in 3 straight plate appearances. The Cranbrook, BC native is slashing .351 on the season with 3 round trippers and 12 RBI in 13 games as he hopes to use his leadership to guide the Dinos back to a championship. Brett, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. It's an honor to be on.
3 home runs in 3 straight at-bats, in fact. Have you ever had a stretch like that before?
No, I can't say I have. These are my first 3 college home runs since I've been with the Dinos since 2021. And my last home run was not until back in high school or even middle school even. So it's definitely, it was definitely crazy for me. And yeah, it was just, it was surreal.
When you're going up to the plate, you hit the one, you're like, okay, we're feeling good. You hit the second one, okay, we're obviously feeling really good. Did you have it in mind that, hey, maybe I got it? Like, what were you looking for on that third one that allowed you to go yard a third time?
On the third one, first pitch, I just got a change up. I actually swung over it, and I was kind of just laughing because it was surreal to me that that was the first pitch that I swung at all day, and that wasn't a home run. So I kind of just laughed at the plate a little bit, and then I was just trying to hit something hard right up the middle, back at the pitcher's head, and then I just elevated it and it went out left. So it was pretty surreal.
What goes through your mind as you're rounding the bases? Like, is it kind of one of those, did that just happen kind of moments?
Yeah, for sure. I remember after the third one, I shook Cam's hand coming around third, and I just said, I'm not too sure what's going on right now. And I'm sure he kind of felt the same, but it was just a really special moment for myself and my team. And yeah, I'm just happy to be able to provide for my team in that type of way.
For sure. It's been a pretty good season for you so far. I mean, we're halfway through already, crazily enough. How are you feeling, numbers aside, about the spring so far?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I think we're halfway through the season. We've had a lot of positives, and we also have a lot of things to build on in the next 16 games here. So, just going to keep putting our best foot forward throughout the rest of the year and just slowly build up to May, and hopefully we can peak at the right time.
You and I were talking off air about this, but talk about the ebbs and flows of a short and yet long season. I mean, it's 32 games, but it's packed in there, right? And you don't want to put too much weight into wins and losses in March and April, but at the same time, you need to keep your eye on the prize for mid-May. Walk us through how you navigate that crazy season that is CCBC.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy with just a 32 game season. I think it's important just to try to stay level-headed and not get too high or too low, because although it is just 32 games and each weekend means so much, at the end of the day, it is just a seeding tournament, and we're all going to make playoffs, and we're all going to get the opportunity to, win the championship. So I think it's important not to get too high or too low, and kind of just understand the big picture of building up to May, and just gelling as a team on the field and off the field, and really just trying to win the last game in May.
You were part of that 2023 championship run. Compare that team to this year's team. What do you like about this year's squad, and what do you need to do to get there back into that winner circle in the middle of May?
Yeah, I think some similarities between that team and this team is we have a really good balance of veterans and exciting young guys coming up. So I think that kind of sticks out just between the two similarities. We've always had great pitching and great bullpen, and our at bats were great in playoffs, and we just got hot at the right time. And we have a lot of guys who are swinging it really well right now, and we're just hoping that that's going to continue on throughout the season. And yeah, just get hot at the right time, like I said.
How much of it is patience at the end of the day? Like, as much as the guys want to be hitting the skin off the baseball or throwing, mid 90s at this time of the season, how much is that being pressed upon by you and the leadership group there that, hey, you know what, we've just got to keep grinding, even if we are racking up a couple of more losses than maybe we'd like to have?
Yeah, for sure. I think for me personally, that kind of just really came with age and came with experience playing the league. I know my first couple years, I was pretty anxious at the plate and kind of just making the moment a little bit bigger than it needs to be. And just wanting to help my team so bad that I was kind of just gripping the bat too tight and just getting a little bit too nervous. And I think just as you get older, something that I try to reiterate to the younger guys and just the team in general is that, we're playing our best when we're loose, but we're still focused. We're not getting too anxious, and we're just really trying to play simple and just believe in our stuff. And whether that's on the mound or at the plate, and just know that how much we've practiced and how hard we've worked this past off season is enough, and we don't need to try to do more than we need to.
Is there anything that you're impressing upon the guys over the last half of the season here, wanting to make sure that they keep it in mind as you head towards May Long?
Yeah, for sure. I think with us playing every 5 or 6 days, you really can't dwell too much on the past weekend, whether that's from a team perspective or from an individual perspective. Every week, you kind of just have to go week by week and try to put your best foot forward going into the games Friday or Saturday, and kind of, don't get stuck in the past, whether it's success or failure the past week. And it's just good to kind of live in the moment and try to be present and not worried about the ups and downs.
For sure. Let's get in your baseball past here a little bit, Brett. You're originally from Cranbrook. How did you get into baseball in the first place?
Yeah, growing up, I didn't actually play baseball until that later. I think I started in grade 5, and I started with the Cranbrook Bandits there. Played from grade 5 all the way until grade 12 there, and it was a great experience. I worked a lot with Paul Morasic there, and I had a lot of good buddies on the team as well who've gone on to do great things. So it was a really good experience, and it was definitely a privilege to be able to grow up and play baseball there.
Were you an all sports guy growing up, or was it all baseball all the time once you discovered it?
Yeah, I played a lot of hockey growing up. I started that a lot earlier than I did baseball, and I played soccer for a couple of seasons as well. But right when I started playing baseball in the 5th grade, I kind of knew it was my type of thing, and I felt like that was my best chance on playing a sport after high school. So I kind of just took that pretty serious from right out the gate.
Was there a moment in time where the light bulb kind of clicked for you and you went, okay, maybe I'm good at this game and maybe I've got a shot at chasing it at a higher level?
Yeah, I think when you're in middle school, you're kind of just trying to work as hard as you can and just, see where it goes. And to be honest, I wasn't really thinking too much about university when I was in middle school. And then as you get into high school, you start to see graduation kind of come a little bit closer, and guys older than you are going to different places, whether it's in the CC or down in the States or just anywhere like that. And you see them do it, and it kind of gives you the motivation to do it. And it was definitely motivating to see them go somewhere else and have success there. So that kind of planted it in my mind that maybe I want to go somewhere. And I didn't really start thinking about it till about grade 10 or grade 11 that I wanted to come to the CCBC, and that was always my first choice. I wanted to get a Canadian education, and I thought the University of Calgary was a great chance to play high level baseball and also go to a really good school.
You're an art student, if memory serves me correct. Talk about the student athlete perspective for a second. Like, how do you manage to balance the books and also what's going on the diamond?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely all about time management. You got to understand there's a lot of things to juggle, and especially right out of high school, that can be a little bit overwhelming with how much time you can have on your hands with practice and class in the morning. And you kind of just need to find what works best for you, whether you're a guy who likes to do all your school in the morning or after practice. you kind of just have to understand what works for you. And it's just, it's important to just stay on the ball, because it's very tough to get caught up. So just staying consistent and not getting behind anything is definitely big.
Mm-hmm. If baseball wasn't a thing, what would you be doing with your education?
Yeah, I think regardless, I'm in sociology right now, and I want to pursue a career with the Calgary Police. So I think if baseball wasn't a thing, I believe I'd still be working towards that. And yeah.
Very cool. Looking back on the young career to this point, I know of one that probably sticks out, but I'm wondering if there are others. What's that favorite memory on the field, or that moment where you kind of had to take that step back and go, man, I can't believe I get to do this?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's been a lot. I've been lucky to play on some really good teams and have some really good buddies. And I think obviously the championship in 2023, the number one thing that sticks out. Just playing with all your best friends from university is something I'm never gonna forget for the rest of my life. And just be a part of that was really special. And I think also during high school, we had just our final game. I had a lot of buddies of mine that were also in my class, so it was all of our last high school game together. And we were going to different universities after high school, so I think that was just another special one, just to play one more game with all the guys with the Bandits.
Very cool. On the flip side of that, we all know that baseball is a game of failure. So looking back on it, what's been the biggest challenge or hurdle you've had to overcome?
Yeah, for sure. I've been lucky enough not to battle injuries too much over the course of my life. Kind of been lucky with that. But yeah, I think in my first year, I was really hoping to make varsity at U of C here, and I was one of the last cuts on varsity. So I was pretty upset about that. But I understood I was young, and understood there was a bigger plan for myself, and it was important for me to get at bats and just really develop as an 18-year-old, and put on some size, and just like kind of all that type of stuff that incoming freshmen should get is just a lot of reps. And so I think that was kind of something that I was upset I didn't make varsity that year, but in the moment and looking back on it, I knew it was best for me to play there and get as many reps and as many at bats I could. And I think that was a huge factor in me. Is just that developmental year was huge. And going into the next year with varsity, I got assigned with Weyburn, and I started on opening day the next year. So that was definitely a big year for me, and I really just tried to put my head down and understand there was a bigger picture with the Dinos going forward, and it wasn't a 1 year plan. It was a 4 or 5 year plan, and I understood that that's kind of just what had to get done.
Mm-hmm. How important has that been, especially as you've gotten older, to be able to give that message back as well, and maybe talk to some of those freshmen and go, listen, like, you might not have made the team this year. Listen, you're not getting all the playing time that you think you might deserve, but there's a plan in place. Like, how much of that has been part of your messaging?
Yeah, no, that's definitely a huge part of the message I'm trying to spread. I'm trying to kind of be I feel like I'm a good representation of what the university program can do, and it's really up to you is how much you want, and your development at the end of the day is up to you, and you can take it as far as you want. And there's always guys who are similar to me, where they understand it's a process, and they see the 4 year, 5 year picture. But there are also some guys, and I don't blame them, that they're a little bit more of a short term thinker, and they're thinking more of this year. And just having conversations with them and being able to kind of share my experiences and my thought process when I was their age, and just trying to help them. And I feel lucky that I'm able to kind of relate to them and be able to help them kind of get through those maybe tougher times when they hear bad news.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And that kind of segues into one of the last couple of questions I've got for you here, Brett. It's a couple that we ask here on the show of all the athletes here. When it comes to those young kids, especially those ones, like, let's say you get to go back to Cranbrook and talk to those young kids just starting out on their journey, and they want to get to where you're at now. What do you want to impart on them? What do you want to say to them to get them to that level and beyond?
Yeah, I think you just gotta trust that. It sounds cliche, but just try to work your hardest every single day, and don't think too much in the future. Just enjoy it. It's gonna fly by quick. So just whether it's in the season, in the summer, or in a school gym in the winter, you kind of just have to show up every day and try to get a little bit better. And don't try not to think long term, and just and kind of enjoy the grind, and really just try to take it slow, and don't think too much in the future. Just really enjoy it, because it's like we know with baseball, you play every day. So if you don't enjoy it, you're not gonna really go too far. So you definitely gotta enjoy it.
Absolutely. The final one we ask everybody: what does the game of baseball mean to you?
Yeah, it's hard to really sum it up. It's provided me so many opportunities. I've met my best friends through baseball, and I've been able to come to school here and really meet some mentors, and like I said, my best friends. So it's more than a lot, or it's more than just a game to me. It's really a lifestyle for myself, and it's just kind of where I can compete and socialize with people, and it's really just a lifestyle to me. It's I just feel very fortunate and blessed to be able to play baseball with the Dinos, and just meet the people that I met throughout the process.
Well, we've been fortunate enough to get to meet you and share a little bit more about your journey as well, Brett. Congrats on all the success on the field and off the field. Continued success with the Dinos and beyond. And again, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Thank you very much. It's been an honor to be on.
We'll head stateside now to get to know Brendan Clelland. The Sherwood Park native and AHP Academy alum is hitting .412 with 3 homers, 30 RBI, and 5 stolen bases in 36 games as a redshirt freshman with Northeastern Junior College. As you'll hear in a second, he's a true student of the game, enjoying the smaller details as he dreams about taking his game to the next level. Brendan, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Thank you guys for having me.
The numbers kind of speak for themselves, honestly, as you look at your spring season, but I'm curious, how are you feeling about the spring so far?
I've been feeling really good so far. It's been a lot of learning this year, especially with this year being the first full year I've actually been able to play in college, dealing with injuries all year last year. But no, it's gone really well so far, thankfully. I've had, I think a big part of it has just been learning to adjust as I go, especially playing a 56-game season with it being so long, with travel, everything like that. Learning to adjust on the go and being able to flush a bad game and not turn it into a bad series, something like that. I think that's been really helpful for me.
Talk about your approach at the plate and what's been working for you at that standpoint, because I look at the numbers and go, man, this is a pretty good redshirt freshman season you're having.
So approach was actually probably the biggest thing I learned last year at my previous school. So my freshman year, I went to Southeastern Community College down in Iowa. Had a bunch of injury issues like mentioned, but our hitting coach there, what he hammered into our heads was approach as hitters, was having a plan and not hunting something, but taking something away from the pitcher. So basically the way we would set it up and the way that I still do it is home plate's essentially 7 baseballs wide. I'm trying to take away everything from about a 3 or 4 to a 7. So anything from middle in-ish to outside corner, I'm trying to take away. Most pitchers at the junior college level cannot command the pitch inside. A lot of guys are scared to throw it. So most of them want to live away from you because that's where they think that no damage will be done or less damage will be done. So a lot of my focus is on seeing the ball in the outer half of the plate, not over-rotating, anything like that, and just taking the ball the other way, being patient, taking what I'm given.
Speaking of the approach, and then you add in the fact that you're coming to a new school and you've got this, want to be healthy and that kind of stuff. Did you have any goals or expectations heading into this season?
I wouldn't say any real goals for myself. I mean, I came in the fall, being a transfer, everything like that, with it really being my first year of actually playing college baseball fully. And I took that with kind of a chip on my shoulder to go out and say, you know what, I'm coming into a new school. I have realistically no college numbers. I need to go out and make a name for myself and go out and prove something every day. And that was something that I took very personally in the fall and went out to go attack that way. I mean, hitting wise, I had average numbers in mind, something like that. I wanted to hit north of 350 by the end of the year. And the other one was I wanted to keep it under 20 strikeouts, be a tough out, be a nuisance at the plate, and just give pitchers fits, never roll over and die for them.
And have you accomplished that to this point?
So far, yeah. I know my strikeouts are under 20 right now. Don't want to jinx it. We still have 8 regular season games left. But no, that's something, too, that was definitely a big adjustment coming from non-conference play into conference, where the first half of the year, and this is something I do each game, where I take notes on all my at-bats after I finish them. I'll go pitch by pitch, kind of what I saw, what I felt, things like that. And I noticed that in the first half of the season playing non-conference, I have some times where I'd take a swing and then it would sometimes take my head out of the entire at-bat and I'd end up striking out. And that was something that I wanted to change coming into conference play for sure. I mean, with 8 games left in conference, I think I've struck out twice so far. So it's something where I've definitely made a big change in the last 20-ish games or so of finding ways in at-bats to be tougher, to throw out a bad call or a bad swing, something like that, and go compete.
Mm-hmm. It really sounds like you're a student of the game. Like, I don't know if I've met anybody who's taking notes and being as articulate in their approach as you are. Where does that come from?
So that's actually something that was mandatory for all of our guys at Southeastern with our hitting coach. So he gave every single one of our position players a notebook, and it was our job after every at-bat to write down what we saw in sequence, how our swing felt, how the at-bat ended, the result of it, everything like that. And that was something that I carried over into this summer coming home and then into this year at Northeastern. I found it was helping me really well with, if I had days where I was slumping, I could go back and look at days where I was successful and see what I was feeling, what my kind of keys to success were before the game, anything like that, and just try and replicate those feels really was my goal.
That's super interesting.
So that was something that helped out a lot, just taking those notes, and with our hitting coach there having such a structured plan for us of, this is what works, this is how we're going to attack, and it's something I've carried over, and it's definitely lucky because I've been able to take some of what I learned at Southeastern and then mix it here with what I've learned from Coach Catchell at Northeastern, kind of fine tune and tweak some things from what I've learned from both of them.
Very cool. Let's get in your baseball past here a little bit, Brendan. You're originally from the Edmonton area. How did you get into baseball in the first place?
So I actually didn't start playing baseball until I was a bit older. I don't think I started until I was 10 or 11, and it only kind of came about because one of my best friends growing up had always played baseball, and he convinced me to get into it initially. And really at the time, I was just looking for something to fill the void in between hockey seasons. And I just needed something to do in the summer, so I picked it up. And then as I started getting older, kind of 15, 16, I was loving baseball a lot more. I realized that I, was ready to be done with hockey. And then right after my grade 10 year, I said, yeah, you know what, I'm done with hockey. I want to go chase baseball. And that's what I've been lucky enough to do from here on out.
Was there a specific moment where that switch kind of flipped for you, where you went, okay, yeah, this is the dream I want to chase? Was there a specific game or moment or opportunity that really stuck out to you?
Yeah, so it wasn't actually a game. It was something that happened while I was training at AHP. It was in my first couple months of being there. We were in the gym one night, and this is when, AHP was a lot smaller than it is now. But there's just kind of a small group of us in there, and it was the day that Chaz Wheatley actually signed his deal to go play at Iowa. I remember I was around for that, talking with him, watching all of that, and that was kind of the deciding moment where I was like, you know what, I want to go and do that. I want to go and take that road.
Very cool. How cool is it? You mentioned Chaz, but we were talking off air about Eric Sabrowski, and there's Don Morgan in that building now, and there's a few guys who are really kind of making a name for themselves, and you're all kind of growing up together to a certain extent. How cool is it to look at each other and go, hey, you're succeeding where you're at, and you're succeeding where you're at, and there's really this kind of community feel that you guys have going on at AHP.
Yeah, it's been incredible. From the start, from when I first got there, Eric was always great with helping out with everyone around the gym, with helping coach us, kind of giving us some of the wisdom that he'd learned. While he was still playing, while he was rehabbing from surgery, anything like that, he was always great with being around all of us in the gym. And then there's guys at AHP that I've played with since I started playing baseball. Jack Jewell I've played with since I was 11 years old. Don Morgan, same deal. Owen Pote, I grew up playing against when he still played for Okotoks, and then he came back to us to Sherwood Park in high school. So no, it's been really good. And I think AHP also gave me the opportunity to especially with Team 1, when we first came together, when AHP had that first travel team, it gave me a chance to meet a lot of guys that I'd played against for a long time and kind of knew a little bit, but through that team, I was able to build a lot better relationships with them. And it's been great to see them succeed all over the map since.
I always ask this of the guys who go through a Taylor Burns program. How much of a mad scientist is he?
That I'm pretty sure he knows how I move and how I swing and how I throw better than I do, because I've called him a couple times during the season. I've kind of told him what I've been thinking or what I've been feeling, and he's told me what to do. And he's like, "Hey, I told you this 2 years ago. Like, pick it up." And he's been a pleasure to work with from the start. I mean, I started with him while I was still playing hockey and baseball at the same time. And the nice part with him is I've been with him for going on 5 years now, and I can still go back and get a program every month that, I'll see something that I haven't seen yet, because even though he's been doing this for a long time now and worked with so many athletes, he's still finding new things for us to do and tailoring specific things to each athlete he has. So every time I come home, it's kind of like, unwrapping a present on Christmas when I get the new program, see what I'm going to get, see what I recognize, see what's new. And it's always a lot of fun.
Fantastic stuff. Looking back on the young career to this point, Brendan, do you have a favorite memory or moment that stands out as one that you had to take that step back and go, man, I can't believe I get to do this?
I would say it was actually a little later on in high school when I was playing with AHP with that team one. We ended up winning a perfect game tournament down in Las Vegas. And that was a really special group to me in a lot of ways. That was being the first team, that was the team that kind of kicked off everything. I would say that team is still pretty close. We all see each other often when we come back home. And that was the moment too, where that was kind of the end of the year for us as AHP before we went back to, all of our baseball Alberta teams and all that. So, realizing that it would be the last time I would play with some of those guys, which was kind of the first time I'd really, really experienced that. And just, being able to soak it all in. And that was one of my first times too, going south of the border and, seeing us compete with teams in the States too. That was a moment for me where I was like, yeah, you know what, we can do this. I've got a shot to do this. Let's see where I can go with it.
Absolutely. On the flip side of that, we know baseball is a game of failure. So what's been the biggest challenge or hurdle that you've had to overcome over your young career?
For sure, the injuries last year. I'd never missed any time really ever for any injury that I'd had before growing up. And then last year in the fall, I was able to get hot for a little bit, and then I ended up getting hit in the face with a pitch that basically ended my fall. And then the week before Christmas, I was supposed to go home for break. I had some knee issues and went in, got it checked out, and they told me that my kneecap was fractured and was in two pieces being held together by not much. So that was a definitely a shocking realization. They kind of told me, you said, we can do surgery and fix this, but you won't play again. Or we can try out this PRP injection and you'll rehab the whole spring. So I kind of had to come to terms with, at Christmas time that I wouldn't have, a true freshman season to play. Mm-hmm. So that was definitely a very kind of eye-opening moment. It was something that I wasn't used to. I was my first year away from home too. So it was a lot to kind of pick up and try and learn from the best I could, but there was definitely some learning points out of that.
100%. I've always asked this when it comes to the physical injuries. How much of the challenge is the physical side and how much is the mental side in your eyes?
It's, to me at least, it's far more mental, especially in college when you're young, you're away from home, everything like that. You still have your friends, your parents, everything like that. You have your teammates, but, your main support system's a lot further away. It's a lot more of you learning how to deal with things on your own, watching games instead of being able to go play in them, everything like that. And I think it's a big mindset thing. And it was something that I sunk into too for the first little bit, where it was kind of miserable not playing in games or having to stay at home and rehab when our team would go travel. And then kind of later in the season, our head coach at Southeastern talked with me and our hitting coach spoke with me, and we kind of talked about using it as an opportunity. So I spent a lot of time when we were playing games, just sticking around them, kind of hearing what they were thinking when they would talk me through what they were thinking in the game, what they were seeing, and just being able to take that time to kind of grow my baseball knowledge, even when I couldn't be on the field.
Very cool. A few fun ones for you before we let you go, Brendan. First off, what's your go-to food when you're there at the ballpark as a fan?
Ooh, I have to say burger or nachos.
Burger and nachos. So if it's a burger, what are your toppings typically?
I'm going ketchup, mustard, Pickles, onions, tomato, lettuce. I'm going the whole deal.
Oh, all in, and not contentious at all is the ketchup versus mustard thing. Some are either hard in or hard out on either, and then for me, I'm both. So I tip my cap to you on that. What is your walk-up tune of choice?
My walk-up tune I have this year is "Fuss and Fight" by Cohen. That's probably one I'll keep. It's one I like. I actually stole it off one of my buddies from the team last year at Southeastern. He was one of our starting pitchers. That was his first inning walkout song. So I borrowed that one off him.
Very cool. And finally, who is your baseball idol?
I would say Mike Trout. He was actually, I can remember it clearly. I was watching baseball on TV before I ever started playing. I want to say it was probably the 2014 All-Star game in Minnesota. And I watched him play, and I mean, as a kid, I could throw right and left-handed. I couldn't hit right-handed, but I watched Trout play, and I decided I wanted to play baseball. And I remember my dad asked me, he's like, "Oh, do you want to throw left-handed or right-handed?" And I was like, "Well, Trout throws right-handed, so I want to do that." And that's probably been. I mean, I've watched him all since, so I would say probably Trout.
That's a very good one indeed. A couple more before we let you go. They're the standard ones we ask of the athletes here. First off, when you come back to AHP and you see those young guys that are just getting started, or maybe those young kids in the stands who want to get to where you're at now, what kinds of advice or words of wisdom do you like to impart upon them?
Take advantage of every day. There's always something to be done to get better, and you're never good enough where you're at. There's always somebody better, and there's always something to work towards. That was something that I had to learn for sure. I mean, as I'm sure the entire staff at AHP could tell you, the fall season of my grade 12 year was horrendous. I don't know if I hit my body weight in that fall. And it was a lot of realizing that I wasn't good enough yet. I had taken some things for granted, being kind of young and inexperienced. So take advantage of every day, of every opportunity you can get. There's always something to be learned.
Great stuff. And the last one, what does the game of baseball mean to you?
The game of baseball has given me really everything for the past probably 4 or 5 years, since it's been the only sport I've been playing. It's probably the biggest thing it's taught me is how to not only adjust on the go, but how to handle failure better. It was something where when I was younger, playing hockey more, where I didn't necessarily handle failure great. And it's something that's taught me that it's not really losing, it's learning. You have a chance to come back, and that's the great part with, playing 56 games in a college baseball schedule, is you get a chance to come back the next day and use what you've learned and go out and get a chance to do it better.
That's fantastic. Well, Brendan, really appreciate you sharing a little bit of your journey. Congrats on all the success to this point, continued success in Northeastern and beyond. And again, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Thank you guys for having me.
And we'll wrap things up with someone we've mentioned a few times in the news in recent weeks. Ayden Makarus has made his triumphant return to the baseball field after a successful start to his collegiate career at LSU-Eunice and Bossier Parish. The 6'2", 219-pound utility man is hitting .318 with 11 homers and 28 RBI in 33 games at Bellevue University, even being named an NSAA Player of the Week a couple of weeks ago. The Dawgs Academy alum and episode 135 guest has had a crazy couple of years away from the field, coming back after one fateful conversation with a loved one. Ayden, thanks so much for coming back here on the show.
I'm glad to be here, Joe. Thank you for having me.
Let's start with the here and now, and then we'll get into the last 3 years since we last chatted. You are lighting it absolutely up with Bellevue University. The numbers kind of speak for themselves, but on a personal level, how are you feeling about the season you're having?
After taking some time away, to have the success that I've had has really been eye-opening. I came into it knowing that I wouldn't be where I was, and to see that I'm having the success I am has truly been a gift.
What's been working for you?
I think even, like I said, that time away and knowing that whatever's going to happen is going to happen has allowed me to play more loose and free and not really worry about what's to come next.
Are you surprised at all about how quickly it's come back, given that you were away from the game for a while?
Not actually. It's kind of like riding a bike. That first week or couple weeks that I was down here, obviously, your eyes take a second to adjust, but it's like riding a bike, and you can pick up kind of right where you left off to begin with.
Mm-hmm. You joked with me over text about wanting to chase Logan Grant's home run record at Bellevue. How much fun are you having out there right now?
It's honestly, I can compare it to kind of my last year before we talked at Bossier Parish when I was playing with guys that I played with in the academy and that I've grown up playing with. The amount of fun that I'm having here with these guys and the relationships I'm building is definitely next level.
Was that something of a personal take, like, hey, I got to start doing this, or has it come pretty naturally for you?
It's come pretty naturally. I mean, I've always been a people person and able to create relationships out of nothing like that pretty quickly. And, having people that you do know definitely makes gelling with the rest of the guys a lot easier.
Okay, let's get into the deep stuff a little bit here. Last time we chatted, it was after you had helped LSU-Eunice win a championship, and little did we know things were about to take a turn, and a crazy turn in a bunch of different ways. So walk us through what kind of happened over the course of the next couple of years.
Well, after I was done at Eunice, there was a lot of external stuff going on throughout that season. I ended up having a couple kids, which kind of led me away from the scholastic side of stuff when I was at Eunice and ended up losing my scholarship there for grades. Decided to take some time away, try to figure out where I was at mentally, if I wanted to play ball or not. So I took the next 6 months off. Decided over Christmas that I wasn't done. I felt like baseball was taken from me. So I wanted to go out on my terms. So I called Tyler Hollick, called him up kind of a few days before Christmas and said I wanted to get back into it. He said, give me a sec, called me back probably half an hour later, said that there's another school in Louisiana that wants you to come there in the spring here. So we're going to get you into some winter intercession classes, get you eligible, and get you out there in a couple weeks.
Very cool. So walk us through that transition piece, because you became a firefighter at one point. You kind of took a bunch of different turns, trying to, I assume, make a bit of a living for yourself and try to provide for a fam.
I did. So after all of that had happened, and I went to Bossier, had a great year, played with Krausen and Breen and Alejandro, a handful of those guys that I grew up playing with. Decided, that was good. Decided to walk away and go focus on a career. So I moved back home. Again, going through a lot of mental health issues, and I put on a lot of weight. Like I think I was up to 270 pounds. Decided that, I'd had enough, wanted to kind of get out of my current situation, needed a change of pace. So I moved from Okotoks up to Edmonton to live with my grandfather and work for my uncle doing some oil collection, kind of like an ego job. Wasn't loving it. I was, money wasn't great. Like I got paid based on the amount of weight that I would collect and pick up, but there wasn't as much plastic as was kind of needed. So when I converted it out, I was making about $9 an hour. So ultimately I couldn't really afford to eat or feed myself. So ended up just focusing on the gym, trying to better my mental health that way. Worked out, cut all that weight off. Come January of 2024, decided I was going to become a firefighter. So went and stayed with a different family member in Sherwood Park. Started taking some fire certificates there because it was supposed to be a 4-month course. Get my 1001s, my hazmats, my wildlife, like all these different fire certificates. And we're 5 months into the course. Mind you, it was supposed to be 4 months, and we haven't even taken our final exam yet. Come to find out that one of the former members who worked at the institute told us that the institution had filed for bankruptcy, but they didn't tell anybody.
Jeepers.
So now I'm 5 months in, thousands of dollars basically down the drain to not come away with any certificates. That's why it kind of steered me away from the first responder side of things, is that was kind of like an eye-opening. That's not where I'm supposed to be. So then moved back to Okotoks, started working with my dad down in Fort McLeod. We're driving an hour and a half every day to and from work to commute. Wasn't liking that. I wanted to be home a little bit more, kind of figure out who I was, what I wanted from life. So I started Good Life Fitness in Okotoks, had a motivator position. So basically a front desk position. I thought if I could get that, get my foot in the door, and then I could become a personal trainer that way. Timing aligned itself. It was great. Ended up becoming a personal trainer there. But right before I was supposed to start my first day, I had to be rushed into surgery because my gallbladder needed to be removed. It was an emergency surgery that had to happen. So had that done, taken out, finally started doing the personal training, and I was loving it, and I was loving it for a long time. And then I ended up meeting a girl who had all these different things going for her. She was Miss Western Canada, Miss Queen Alberta. She started a nonprofit called Persistence Haven, which is kind of focused on and tailored towards awareness around invisible disabilities and mental health and healing that way through equine therapy and work with horses. So I met this girl, and we kind of started talking and got talking. And I remember that I noticed that something was missing. My motivation wasn't there anymore for my job and what I was doing because of all the different things that she had going on and pushing me to be better, because I knew there was more meant for me than where I was at. And I thought that I just kind of needed a different hobby, something to pick up on. So me and her had a conversation. I said, I really like volleyball. Maybe I'll go play some rec volleyball or slow pitch or something like that. And we were at my house, and I remember she was doing her makeup. She slammed her makeup brush down on the counter and goes, "For God's sake, Ayden, you need to go back to baseball." And I was like, I don't know how to make that happen. I don't know what route to go. She says, just pick up the damn phone and call somebody. So I did just that, and I went into the field house at the beginning of February, or end of January, beginning of February. And from there, went in, got some work in. A couple days after that, Lou Pote had said that he heard I was wanting to go back to baseball. He had a call with the assistant coach here at Bellevue, Mitch Schmidt, on Wednesday. I got in on a Monday. And he goes, I'll try to give him a call before then, mention your name. Oh, awesome, Lou, that's great, thank you. So then I go out, I'm just getting some work in, hitting off the tee. Lou comes running out of the office 10 minutes later with the phone and goes, Ayden, Mitch wants to talk to you. I was like, oh boy, okay. So take the phone from Mitch. He's like, send me your transcripts. I want you to come here. Day later, he says, everything looks good, you're eligible. And then they sent me a letter of intent to sign. And then 8 days later, after going into the field house, I was on my way down here to Bellevue to play ball again.
Unbelievable story. So looking back on it, what did that little knock of, for God's sakes, get back into baseball, was that the kind of answer that in hindsight you were looking for?
I think so, because honestly, it opened my eyes, and I was healed. I was good. I was where I needed to be, but having that drive and that person to push me to put, personal bias aside and feelings for what does Ayden need? What would be best for him right now? Right? Because I know something's missing. I was so passionate about it for a long time. And then, a lot of athletes go through that where when you're done with ball, you're lost, right? Because that was a part of your identity for a long time. And just knowing that was an option, and I had never really thought about it until she had pushed me to that point where I was like, no, like, I can do this. Let's do this.
So you walk into the field house, and you probably are starting to hear the usual sounds: bats hitting balls, gloves catching balls, the usual sounds of banter and that kind of thing. Did it almost feel like home? What was that feeling like as you walked in?
I was a little anxious, honestly, at the beginning, because I walked in, and it had been a while since I had talked to any of the coaches or seen any of the guys. So I walked into the field house and had my bat, my glove, my cleats all in hand, and I knew that the coaches would be in the office. So I walked around the corner and kind of waited at the door frame for them to finish a conversation. And I remember Tyler Hollick and Aaron Ethier were in the office there, and they were sitting down, and Hollick notices me by the door, and he jumps up out of his seat and goes, Makarus, how have you been? Came over, he gave me a big hug. We chatted for a little bit, told him what I wanted to kind of get back into. And then right then and there, it was a sigh of relief that I'm home.
Absolutely. So take us into that like 24 or 48, 72 hour stretch there, and the subsequent work that you wanted to put in, because I assume as soon as you got that call from Big Bear saying, okay, it's time to pack your bags, I assume there had to have been that moment, okay, now the work begins.
Well, absolutely. Like I had gone in originally just thinking, again, next fall, right after the year kind of finishes out here, give me a chance to get back into the swing of things, take some swings and go from there. But even then, like the first day I went in there, I hit 200 balls off the tee, went back to work that afternoon. Because I had a few clients that evening, and then decided I was going to go back later that evening again and hit another couple hundred balls, trying to iron out the details, get back into the swing of it, that muscle memory. But man, can I say, after that first day, I felt like I got hit by a truck. My body was so sore. Oh, definitely forgot all the different muscles that you need to swing a bat.
There's no such thing as moderation in that moment. You're just like, oh well, I guess we're going to do this for 200 swings.
And I've never been one to take things in moderation. If I'm doing it, I'm going all out, going in 110%. I've had a very tough time kind of scaling back and doing things, 50%, 60%.
When you go back in time on that, was that maybe part of the reason why you were able to cut ties with the game when you did? Was just like, okay, listen, it's all in or not, and I wasn't all in, so you didn't almost have any regrets at least at the time?
That's a great way to look at it for sure. Like it's such a game of passion, baseball is, and I didn't have that same feeling I did for years before, and I thought that was a sign in itself that I'm need to move on with my life, move on to something else.
Mm-hmm. Going through that entire journey and saying it out loud and kind of being able to reflect on it, I suppose. What'd you learn about yourself going through all of what you've gone through over the last 3 or 4 years here?
You can't plan your future. You can try to set yourself up the best you can for what you desire and the things that you like or that you're passionate about. But at the end of the day, you never know what'll happen, right? Things can change in the blink of an eye. I definitely think it helped me personally focus on things that truly matter and not taking certain moments for granted, because one day, poof, everything can disappear. It can all be gone, or it can go vice versa. And you could be 10 steps ahead of where you thought you'd be at the end of the week.
Mm-hmm. I know you said you don't like to plan ahead, but where do you go from here? Like we talked about it earlier, you're off to a stellar start at Bellevue. Do you have big plans or aspirations in the next couple of years here? Or is it just like take it a day at a time and see where we go?
No, of course. I feel like I'm right back to where I was before. At the end of the year here, we'll finish out with postseason, play some summer ball, and then come back for the following year. And, hopefully, pro contract comes out of that, whether it's independent ball or overseas or even potentially the draft. I know age is a thing now, so it's kind of crunch time for myself that way. But that's, I guess, where I'm working towards right now again, is trying to get something at the next level.
How you feeling? Like, I know that we've talked a lot about the ball side of things, but from you talked about the mental health side of things, you talked about the ebbs and flows. How's life in Ayden Makarus's mind right now?
I'm on cloud nine. I'm doing something that I thought was a closed chapter in my books. I'm better than ever. School's going great. And then baseball as well, the body, I'm feeling better than I have before, in spite, the surgeries and everything that way that I kind of overcame and gone through. I'm feeling stronger and better than ever.
And as far as fam is concerned, what have they meant to you? Not just the blood fam, but obviously the lady in your life as well.
It's been very, very supportive from them in terms of getting back out here, and emotional for them because they know the ties that previously was had to it in the game, and I've heard them say countless times that I'm different. The energy radiating is different now. Like it's a true sense of fulfillment now that I'm back where I'm supposed to be.
Fantastic stuff. A couple more for you before we let you go here, Ayden. First off, you kind of mentioned the fact that like there are probably kids out there who are going through the same struggles, going through the same challenges, going through the questions and curiosities about the game. What do you hope your journey teaches them, or what do you hope to impart upon those kids who are maybe going through those same kinds of struggles?
To persevere, to dig down. It's okay to take a step back and evaluate what you want. Is this truly what you want? But if you do still have some emotional tie to anything that you have going on, that it's worth pursuing, because you never know what'll happen. The road that it might take, the doors it'll open. That's probably the biggest thing I can say there, is that, it's never too late.
Mm-hmm. Well, so you're certainly proving it in spades. Final question for you. It's one we ask everybody. I can't remember if we asked you way back when we had you on episode 135, or I know we didn't ask you back on episode 21 way back when, because the show has morphed a few times over the last couple hundred episodes here. But what does the game of baseball mean to you, Ayden?
The game of baseball it's taught me, life skills. How to be a part of a team, overcome objections and obstacles, to really show, it kind of shows who you are as a person, because there isn't always going to be people watching you and what you're doing and just your, I guess, assigned practice or your work periods, right? It's about what you kind of do when nobody's watching behind the scenes, for how you're truly going to grow and develop that way. I've learned a lot from the game, and it's taught me, I can't narrow it down to one thing, but it's definitely been something I've been the most passionate about.
Well, it's been certainly a pleasure getting a chance to watch your journey unfold over the last few years, and glad to see you being successful at it again, Ayden. Congrats on the successful return to the field, continued success at Bellevue and beyond. And again, thanks so much for joining us to come on to share the latest chapters of your journey.
Of course. Thank you, Joe. And I can't wait to talk to you again soon.
Thanks again to Brett Potter, Brendan Clelland, and Ayden Makarus for joining us this week. And thanks to all of you for downloading and listening. If you like this or any other episode, make sure to leave us a rating and review on your podcast app. Those actions, of course, help spread the word about ADS. A tip of the cap, as always, to our platinum supporters, the Okotoks Dogs, Under the Light Sports and Entertainment, and the Western Canadian Baseball League, for their continued generosity in helping us tell the game stories in our province. For more on our amazing teammates and to join our roster of sponsors, head to albertadugoutstories.com/supporters. Until next time, thank you for all of your support online, on social, and on air of Alberta Dugout Stories.